Hey, and welcome back to Her Restored Spirit podcast. My name is Tami, and I am so excited to share this episode with you today about how small wins can lead to big breakthroughs. We get so focused on these big, grand things that we forget it's the everyday, the seemingly mundane things that really get us to where we want to be. And so today, I just talk about how to break it down and how to really celebrate the small victories in life and allow them to just become the bigger and bigger things that you desire, and how just washing the dishes can be a win for the day, and you can celebrate that and enjoy just being you. Well, let's get started. Hi friend, I am so excited that you're here to check out Her Restored Spirit podcast. If you've gone through something that has left you broken-spirited, maybe it's a divorce, loss of a spouse, or even a child, loss of a job, whatever it is, I know there is restoration in your future. I'm a widowed mom, and I remember what it feels like to emerge from the fog to discover that my loss is not the center of my story, but it actually instilled in me a new hope, a new understanding of faith, and a new strengthening in my heart, soul, and motherhood. I have finally understood that God has taken my test and formed it into my testimony, and that's why I'm here with you. I want you to step into your purpose, into a newfound joy, and to turn a new page in your book, because I believe you are on the brink of full restoration, unlocking a confidence that you didn't know was inside you, and understanding how to live more fruitfully with purpose, joy, and permission to be washed in possibility. It's time, friend, to reclaim your restored spirit. So do you ever make grand plans, but know in your heart that you'll never accomplish them? Ever have a big dream to realize that what it would take to make it happen, you kind of just decide to write it off as a pipe dream? Do you know what you need to create good habits, but don't put yourself in the equation of priorities, and therefore you allow those things to become a list of wishes? If you're like me, they may be or have been things like eating healthy, exercising, having an amazing morning routine that everyone talks about, journaling, walking, reading your Bible, meditating, turning off social media or the TV to get some extra sleep, having a steady bedtime, taking a moment to pause throughout the day, like anything really. So do you hear anything on this list and you feel like a twinge of guilt or shame because you tried for a day or two and fell off the wagon like by day 3? So I'm with you. I am naturally an all or nothing person, and creating good habits is something that I really want to do, but committing to them for the rest of my life feels so daunting. So in a way, I set myself up for failure, with these grand ideas, these expectations that I put on myself. So, but what I'm talking about today is more than just good habits. What I want to oppose is that if we really start to look at what we do and to celebrate ourselves, it will change our view. So with my clients, I call it small wins. Small wins are just that tiny micro things that we do every day that motivates us to keep going. When our hearts start to awake from the pain and sorrow, when we start to desire life, well, let's be honest, like just a life is all we can really commit to at first. It may be too hard to embrace the idea of a celebrated life or a purpose-driven life, but that's okay. Small steps. But as we heal and the layers of armor begin to shed and we want a little bit more, but it's still too overwhelming. It takes too much energy and so much work. Do you feel like you're in a pattern of survival? And if you're really honest, as hard as it is to admit that you aren't even doing survival well, I remember a time that I wasn't doing it well. I was always in a crisis mode, only had the energy to deal with what was right in front of me, whatever was happening in the moment. And there are times that I didn't even handle those well. So recognizing your small wins is really the answer here. Take time to acknowledge your small wins. Look back at your day and say the small wins out loud. Even better, write them down. Put them in your phone, date them, put them in your planner, on a notebook. You don't need anything fancy, but written evidence that you accomplished something. So what are small wins? Well, the good thing is you get to define these. As moms, we're notorious for being busy all day, but feeling like we're behind or believing that we haven't really accomplished anything. We have these long, never-ending to-do lists that we are diligently checking things off, but as we are checking them off, we add 90 things back on. So we just keep seeing our lists growing. As a side note, I do have a small hack that I love for our to-do list, which I'll be sharing that process sometime soon. But a small win would be considered everything that you did that day. You woke the kids up, made breakfast, took an intentional deep breath when you recognized that your body needed it, started a load of laundry and dried them before you had to restart it. Oh, washed, dried, folded, and put away all the laundry in one day? Well, that's not really a small win. That is a huge feat that took much preparation. So that one is a big win, and you need to celebrate that victory on Facebook so we can all celebrate with you. Back to reality, the small wins, like taking a shower. We all know in early motherhood that is the process all on its own. And add grief in there, and then our lovely friends have to gently remind us every once in a while. Celebrate it. You put on real pants. You did your makeup or hair just for yourself. Acknowledge it and how it made you feel. At the end of the day, if you still feel you haven't done anything, then just celebrate the fact that you made it through the day breathing. I'm telling you, anything that you can think of, celebrate it. Write it down. You need to focus on the positives. You are accomplishing things. They just aren't the things that you may consider, quote unquote, productive at that moment. But by focusing on the positive and celebrating your small wins, your brain is going to start searching for them throughout the day. Little hits of positivity creates brain chemicals that we need to feel good. You're setting yourself on a path for increased recognition, increased acceptance, and seeing what you do as important, little by little. Now, I would like to mention before I go on, do not compare your work in progress, your daily life, your daily mess to other people's highlight reels on social media. You can't even compare your pre-trial self and accomplishments to what you have going on right now. You have to give yourself grace and realize that the shoulda, woulda, coulda, the truth is you are where you are, and that's okay. So embrace the small wins of the moment and don't focus on the golden days, when you could remember 4 people's schedules all without writing it down, or when you can accomplish so much in one day before you had kids. Like, let's just face it, it's not fair to ourselves to compare that, or to even compare to some of the people who are further along who in their grief. We don't know what their struggle was to get to where they are. So we can't really compare ourselves to them. So just be happy for them and move on. Or better yet, don't scroll at all. If you are in a negative mindset or a fixed mindset, you're just gonna feel worse. So just focus on what you're doing in the moment and don't worry about other people. But as you focus on small wins, you start to see that you've actually accomplished things during the day, feeding the kids 3+ times a day. During the summer, it's more like 7 times. It takes up a good chunk of your time each day, so it's good to celebrate it. You are intentionally taking care of your family. You may not have the energy yet to make big adjustments, but tiny self-endorsements you absolutely can do. You can slowly gain the momentum to do more and more. Small, consistent wins build on themselves naturally. It also allows you to stay in the present moment. And we could all use that, right? Not worrying about the future or fretting about the past, but sitting in the moment and recognizing it as good. So we hear a lot about staying in the present, and I won't go into the value of that today. Maybe that'll be another podcast episode for you. But celebrating your small wins helps you stay in the moment. See what is right in front of you. Celebrating wins will increase your confidence and your self-esteem. Your value, your worthiness will start to shine. I decided to start making this an intentional practice in my life. So what I did is I would set 5 minutes at the end of the day to just review and force myself to acknowledge 3 wins, to say them out loud, and to allow myself to enjoy them, to recognize that I did good, and that even though I felt like my day was hurried and busy and that I didn't accomplish anything, then I did actually do more than I thought. It just aren't the big grand things that my intentions or my expectations were for myself. It was a struggle because I didn't count doing dishes as a win at first. But when I started to embrace that each thing I did also had an effect on my family and my home, and realizing that doing the dishes was actually important, then I was able to see, okay, what else do I do during the day that really does matter to my home? Picking up, even though I know that the kids were just gonna mess it up again. It still gave me that few minutes where the floor might have been clean while they're napping, that I can say, okay, yeah, an adult does live here. I still take time to write my 3 wins, but I also try to celebrate them in the moment now, while I'm doing it. Sometimes I may even call my sister and say, hey, I need you to tell me that I did a good job with this. And she does. And she's actually started calling me for the same thing. And it's really helped us both be like, yeah, we do accomplish things in the day, even though it doesn't seem like it. So there's also an importance of writing them down, providing that evidence for your brain in the future. We are all guaranteed to have bad days, to have hard days, days that we just want to give up or don't feel like we can go any further. But when you have a list of small wins to prove to yourself that you can do it, you don't have to attempt to think of them in the moment. Your brain won't be able to search for anything because it doesn't have the energy. It doesn't want to exert the extra energy it has to bring something positive to your mind. Well, if you have the log of small wins, then you can immediately go to that and you can read it. You can see it in paper instead of trying to come up with those. It gives you that extra boost of momentum, the extra boost of motivation you need to pull yourself out of whatever that dark or depressed feeling or just the feeling of blah that you're experiencing in the moment. So how do small wins build? How do they allow you to gain momentum and help to see the value through experiencing them? Well, I'm glad you asked. So here are some of the small wins that I've had and you can kind of see how they start to build and they get to be a little bit more, just a little bit more. So you woke up to your alarm, win. You got dressed and did your hair, win. You decided to take a short walk, maybe even to check your mail, win. You called a friend. You made a plan to walk with a friend. You washed your hair and put on makeup the same day. You went to the store. You planned in advance what you needed from the store before you went. You planned a meal in advance. You meal planned for the week. You went to a school function. You went grocery shopping. You found some herbs and decided to repot it in your kitchen. You discovered that you liked having fresh herbs and decided to plant a few in your garden. You decided that you wanted some plants, some flowers to go in your garden. You planned a trip. You went on a trip. You set a goal. You committed yourself to attempt a dream. You searched for a job. You asked for a much needed and much deserved raise at work. You accepted a job. You moved because you felt a need for a change. You started putting yourself as a priority. You created a life that you love, and so on and so on. All because one moment you decided to acknowledge and celebrate because you woke up to your alarm in the morning. These aren't all one day. These could be years, but that's okay because one small win at a time. Small wins build to big breakthroughs. These breakthroughs happen because you're willing to be proud of yourself for the small incremental wins. When we have these big grand ideas that we want, but we don't have the energy or the know-how to get to them. And so we get defeated. Or we just avoid them altogether because we don't value ourselves or think that it's worth the effort. But my friend, it really is worth the effort. It is worth the few painful moments to acknowledge your small wins each day. So that way it's easier to acknowledge your medium and your large and your big wins later on. The big grand things that we want aren't going to come immediately. We have to break them up into small manageable pieces. We don't have the energy to run a marathon. However, if that's a goal you have, if you started by going on a walk, one day you'll get to run that marathon that you wanted. And it all starts with a small step. The action itself doesn't really matter at first. Even if you don't know what you're doing or what you want to accomplish, that's fine. So the action doesn't matter. It's your perspective on the action, your focused mention and your endorsement that you did a thing, just one thing at one time. If you have breath in your lungs, you have a purpose. You have a life to live and you still have things to accomplish and you have people to raise. You have people who depend on you. And by starting slowly, showing up for yourself and then for your people, you can start to regain a life and create something that you really adore, something you look forward to and are excited about. And you can have those big breakthroughs that you see other people accomplishing, but then you get that satisfaction that you earned it, that you clawed your way to it, that you did it one step by one step. And it really led to something. So I know it's so hard to fathom a life outside of grief. So don't be hard on yourself and then just celebrate this one moment. Again, even celebrating the fact that you finished an entire podcast. Sometimes just acknowledging that we started and finished something at one time is enough to give us that, oh, I can do something. I can do it. So now what? I would love to hear about your small wins. So I'm going to post on Facebook and Instagram. So please go and tell me about your small wins for the day or for the week. Let us celebrate with you. Let me celebrate it with you. And then go on and see other people's wins. Instead of just hitting like, send some encouragement. We need each other. You never know what a small note of encouragement will do and could help them on the path of, acknowledging their small wins. If they see that, okay, well, she acknowledged that she did the dishes as well. I did that as well. Let me go ahead and embrace that. It's all about the perspective and taking time to celebrate and just say, okay, I did it and I'm glad I did it. And let's keep going. I can do more. And then more and more. And then all of a sudden, we're doing the big things that we wanted to do. And we're achieving the dreams that we wanted. And we have a life that we really love. And that's all I want for you, my friend. Hey friend, I hope you loved today's episode. I hope you start to claim the confidence to walk in a judgment-free zone as you continue this healing journey. Now, I want to invite you to look into working with me. I'm a full-time restoration and confidence coach with a background in marriage and family therapy. And not only that, but friend, I've walked it. As you heard in my story, I've experienced grief, loss, pain, feeling stuck. I've had the desire to break free from the fog and rise up again after the hurt, after the pain, and move out of the grief cycle, to begin to wake up with purpose again and live a life of meaning, and kind of rediscover who I was before the grief while I was uncovering who I'm becoming. And I have been called to help you with the same thing. So if you feel you're ready to step back into the light, wash away the old, not forgetting the past, but stepping into a new position of purpose, confidence, and identity, I would love to be your coach and mentor through the process. I only take a few clients each month and would love to get you on the calendar to help you navigate this journey. Email me at tammy@tammymariecoaching.com. Until then, I'll meet you here next week with another awesome topic to help you claim the life that you desire. Don't forget to take a screenshot, tag me, share on Facebook and Instagram, and please share this with another broken-spirited mom who is in need of some soul restoration. Don't forget to rate and review, and until next time, take a deep breath and know there is hope. Bye, friend.